Hello, regular listeners will know that we have launched the Politics Show Patreon. There's going to be exclusive content, Q&As, live streams, all the good stuff, and you can get 90% off your first month now by going to the Politics Show Patreon and using the code POD. That's the Politics Show Patreon, code POD, for 90% off your first month as a subscriber. Thank you so much. We really appreciate it. Love podcast, hate nonsense. It's the Politics Show podcast, ladies and gentlemen. Yay! It's me, Ed Campbell, and Eva Santina, back from her sojourn abroad.
Sojourn?
Yes. Is that how you say that word? I've only read it.
Sojourn.
Sojourn. A trip.
Do you remember when I said Shazam?
As opposed to Shazam.
Chasm.
That's good. I said wonton the other day, which apparently isn't
Wonton?
correct.
What do you mean?
What is it? I said wonton destruction. What is it?
Hard to know. Like, what do you mean? Like the little dough things?
I didn't mean that. I meant abundant destruction.
What?
I
can't think.
Does it mean like
wonton?
Wanton? Anyway, make sure people are desperate to correct us.
Let us know on the Patreon chat. I'm really liking that. I've had to resist. I've replied to a few people, and then I was like, "You got to calm down."
Yes, it's good. That's still.
I just get excited. I love chatting.
It's still going strong. There's a good community there. I'm receiving a beer for every one of you, which if you're looking at the mathematics of that or the economy of that, it doesn't make much sense.
It's really annoying because I sit next to Ed and I can't see what he's doing now.
No,
And I liked always looking over. The best time was when Ed was researching porn school.
Yes.
And like porn awards, and he'd just be sitting there like
watching pornography.
Let me just, and that is, who's that?
And
obviously I know who everyone is, so I just reel it off. I'm like, there's
Captain
Big
Cock.
Cock Bob.
Big Cock.
Yeah. Oh, there's Wizard Sleeve Sally.
There's tits.
Tilly tits. Yeah.
How was your weekend? Did you have a good time?
Yeah. 10 days away I was.
Nice to be back in Blighty.
Well, do you know? Not that I would go in there, of course, but there was at Dubrovnik Airport. There was a smoking room.
Ooh, that's quite old-fashioned.
It was so fresh, and I've heard it was really fresh in there.
It was fresh, like freshly stale smoke.
It wasn't stale at all. There wasn't even like lingering smoke. They sort of suck it out with vents.
Like an extractor fan?
I think what they do is they basically have like 5 big slabs sitting at the top, all leaning over, kind of like gargoyles. And they all the cigarette smoke out of the room. So that's how it stays all fresh and clean in there.
That's good. Do you think that's something that should be brought back to the UK?
As a non-smoker, I don't know.
You couldn't possibly say.
Spoke to a professor this morning.
Did you?
Yeah.
What about? What on earth could you be talking about?
The one I did for work. That was.
Was that not leading into that?
No, I'm joking. Yeah,
right.
It was a lead-in. Yeah. About Iran.
Iran. Sorry, I can't. My accent doesn't do the. Iran, so far away. Yeah, so that's obviously very important. Should we just leap into that now?
Well, we can leap into it, and then you can come back for the good stuff.
For the good stuff, yes. Make sure to skip forwards.
Yeah.
And then we'll come back.
If you don't want to know about what this very learned professor had to say about the ongoing situation,
let us know if you're one of the audience who has no real interest in world affairs and just kind of likes us talking.
We'll come back for the real insights.
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah, this is just some guy who lives and breathes it for work.
Absolutely, just like we live and breathe this.
Yeah.
Roll that.
I'm a professor at the London School of Economics, and my book is called The Great Betrayal, which is very relevant to the story.
Well, tell me, why is it relevant? What's happened over the last couple of days which makes that book relevant?
Well, I think for your own viewers, here you have a nuclear armed state, Israel. According to American intelligence, Israel has between 75 and 100 nuclear devices, attacking a sovereign state that does not have nuclear weapons in the midst of diplomatic talks between the United States and Iran. Iran and the United States have been talking about resolving their differences in the past 2 months, and they have made major strides in terms of building the trust. When the foreign minister was asked about his British counterparts, called to return to the negotiating table, the Iranian foreign minister said, it's very strange. We were at the negotiating tables. Israel and the United States blew up the negotiating table. In a way, really, you cannot understand what happened in the past 10 days without what I call the great deception between Donald Trump and Benjamin Netanyahu. They deceived Iran. They betrayed their promises to their own populations. I mean, think of President Trump as a president of peace, and he does not really believe in forever wars. So in multiple ways, what we have seen is really not only a great betrayal, but a great deception and a great tragedy for international diplomacy.
Do you think this is why the British side are almost distancing themselves from the action? You know, we've had the Foreign Secretary, David Lammy, he's been speaking this morning, making the point that this is not action that was taken by the United Kingdom. Do you think that perhaps behind the scenes we have a different view on proceedings than the US side?
Historically, wherever the United States goes, Great Britain follows. Since the end of World War II in 1945, there is a kind of an organic link, an umbilical cord between the United States and the United Kingdom, but it's mainly dependency, a state of dependency by the United Kingdom on the United States. And they have not really, British policymakers, they have not really been able to shed, to basically have any kind of independent foreign policy posture from the United States, whether in terms of Korea or Vietnam, or the American global war on terror, Afghanistan, Iraq, what have you. I think behind the scenes, I have no doubts in my mind, you have a very strategic coordination between the British security forces and the United States. In fact, Britain fully supported the US bombing of Iran publicly, even though the British government has tried to distance itself from operationally, the United Kingdom says it has not operationally played a role in the bombing of Iran, but in terms of intelligence, in terms of sharing information, in terms of positioning assets. And finally, the British government position is as follows. If Iran responds, retaliates, for the US bombings of Iran, the United Kingdom will come to the support of its American ally. And this tells you a great deal about the complexity and the nuances of the British position. But at the end of the day, if the United States goes to war against Iran, you're going to see the United Kingdom just behind it.
Would that be surprising, do you think? Because we've heard that there's leaked advice from our Attorney General, Lord Hermer, which advised the government, we think, not to intervene in Iran at this moment. I mean, why would they come to that decision if we were going to follow the US in suit anyway?
Well, I mean, I think we need to understand that the United Kingdom is an institutionalized state. The United Kingdom is not run by 10 Downing Street. This is not the American presidency. You have institutions, you have various ministries, and the legal office. This is a relatively independent office, and it serves the British people, not just, Mr. Starmer. So I think, and historically speaking, I mean, I think one thing about the United Kingdom is that really it's legal is foundational. So in a sense, the warning by the highest, legal office in the United Kingdom, I hope that Starmer basically does not repeat the same blunder as his Labour predecessor, Tony Blair, when he took the United Kingdom to war against Iraq, an illegal and unjust war. And let me be direct here. I have no love or admiration for the Iranian regime, period. This is an oppressive regime that basically has stifled political expression and liberties, particularly for young men and women inside Iran. That what Israel and the United States have done, this is an illegal war. This is an unjust war. This is a war of choice, not of a necessity. And that's why in my article in The Guardian a couple of days ago, just before the American bombings, I called this war really like the Iraq war, unjust, illegal, and it's a war of choice because both Israeli leaders and American leaders have really preempted. They have declared a preemptive war against a state that does not really have nuclear weapons. And a final point about the nuclear debate. For your own viewers, the American intelligence assessment, which is a combined intelligence review by more than a dozen American intelligence agencies, found that Iran was not actively trying to build a nuclear weapon and that Iran was almost 3 years away from having the capabilities to build a nuclear bomb. Donald Trump's director of intelligence, again, the combined American intelligence community, in March told the Congress that the US intelligence does not really believe that Iran was pursuing a path to build a nuclear weapon. Again, the Atomic Energy Agency of the United Nations also found that Iran was not systematically building a nuclear bomb. So the question is, if there is almost relative consensus within the American intelligence communities and the Atomic International Agency, why would you preempt a country declare basically Iran representing a present and immediate threat to both Israel and the United States? I think there are hidden reasons behind what Israel and the United States have done in the past 10 days.
You think there's some form of agenda that isn't concerned with the nuclear?
Absolutely. I have no doubts in my mind that the nuclear threat is taken seriously by American and Israeli officials and European officials and Middle Eastern countries. That's not the question. But Iran was not approaching a point of no return on its nuclear program. If you see what Israel has been doing in the past 10 days, Israel is not just bombing Iran's nuclear facilities. Israel is bombing most strategic infrastructure that has to do with industrial, it has to do with the police stations, railways, gas, oil, high-rising buildings. Even the French president, Macron, complained, is that, why would you do this? Why would you destroy the infrastructure? I think Benjamin Netanyahu's overarching strategic goal is regime change in Tehran. And I think that just this morning, President Trump basically floated the idea of a regime, a change in Iran. He wants to make Iran great again by having another Donald Trump at the helm of leadership in Tehran. Ironically, I know it's not funny, sorry, is that really the supreme leader of Iran, Ali Khamenei, approximates Donald Trump to a great deal. Really, they have many similarities, Donald Trump and Ali Khamenei. So I don't see what kind of leader he wants the Iranian people to either elect or choose as a replacement for the current Clara, the supreme leader of Iran, Ali Khamenei.
That's very interesting. What similarities do you think that the two of them hold? And also, do you not think that there's an element of deception here? Because we were told repeatedly over the weekend by the Americans that this was an isolated action, that this was not intended to move a change of regime or to move a change of leader, that this was isolated. So do you think that perhaps the mask slipped a little bit there, where Donald Trump posted on his Truth Social platform that actually perhaps a change of leader, it's time for one?
You know, you're asking really a very important question. How do I read Donald Trump's minds? Who can ever read Donald Trump's mind? You really need, physiopsychiatrists and exceptional mind readers. Just to give you an idea what I mean by that. Donald Trump was elected on a platform, a peace president, a president who basically extracts the United States, from the battlefields, the quagmires of the world battlefields, including the Middle East. Donald Trump was brutal in his criticism of George W. Bush, his predecessor, who basically took the United States to war against Iraq in 2003. He celebrated the fact that he's a president, peace president, yet look what Donald Trump is. He's now taking the United States again and again into another one of the biggest, risky and uncertain and costly war with Iran. Just 9 days before he ordered the attack, the bombing, the strikes on Iran, he said, I give Iran 2 weeks. Iran had 2 weeks to think and reflect on whether it will accept the unconditional surrender that Donald Trump wanted from Iran. Yet 24 hours after he had given Iran 2 weeks, he attacked Iran. Yesterday, he said this was a single attack. We have no intentions to really engage in a war against Iran. And yet today, he is talking about regime change in Iraq. So here is a president who is chaotic, contradictory, all over the map. And that's why what I worry about the most between Donald Trump diplomacy, if I were an Iranian leader, how could I take the word of Donald Trump seriously? How could I go back and talk to the Americans who have repeatedly deceived not only their own population, not only the American public, but even the Iranians? So this is a major, major problem because it tells me we are heading towards a very long, risky, uncertain, and costly battle between the United States and Israel on the one hand and Iran on the other hand.
I mean, that's a very frightening hypothesis. You think the only route now is escalation? I mean, we've had the Iran nuclear department have said that they're up and running again, that they're going to be back in service in the next couple of days, that the damage was superficial. It wasn't quite as catastrophic as the Americans painted it to be over the weekend. Is there a way out now that doesn't involve escalation, or are we on a warpath?
I mean, I think if I were in Tehran today, let's say if I were the Supreme Leader, Ali Khamenei, and if I were part of the National Security Council of Iran, and we have to think how the most existential question for the Iranian leadership is to understand what does the United States, what does Europe really want from Iran? If they want basically to put an end to the nuclear program, they were talking to the Americans and they were debating and discussing and disagreeing. So why would you basically go to war against a state in the midst of talks and negotiations? And I think the Iranian leadership now finds itself between a rock, the rock of unconditional surrender, as Donald Trump wants from the Iranian leadership, and the hard place of all-out war. So here is my take for your own viewers about Iran, what Iran wants to do. I think Iranian leaders, historically speaking, Iran is a very cautious state, very calculating state, very rational state, very patient state. It subscribes to strategic patience and defensive. So my take on it is that the Iranian leadership will take its time. It will weigh its options. It has to respond. Otherwise, it will be discredited in the eyes of its population. But it will respond at its own choosing. And my take on it, its response will be limited against the United States. because Iran's overarching strategic aim is not to be dragged into all-out war with the United States. This has been really integral to Iran's strategic doctrine, because Iranian leaders correctly believe that Benjamin Netanyahu, the Israeli prime minister, is trying to really drag Iran into all-out war with the United States. So the response will be coming, but it will be limited because Iranian leaders do not really want all-out war with the United States. How and when, it's very difficult to and to really predict when Iran's will likely retaliate against the United States.
I just wanted to ask you one final question just about Britain and its position now in the Ukraine-Russia war. Obviously, we are supporting Ukraine in their war effort. I was wondering whether you thought, I mean, as you've touched on here, Iran is a sovereign state and you've described this as an illegal strike. Do you think that that puts our support for Ukraine into, well, it's a bit more tricky, I suppose, for the UK to now defend that support? Because were we not backing Ukraine because we described Russia's actions as illegal? If there's a strike that Iran are unaware of in the middle of the night, and that's illegal, are we not acting hypocritically?
You know, I think you're asking a question that goes to the very heart of what we call international law, what we call the rules-based international order. When Russia illegally invaded Ukraine, there was a huge outcry in the West, and rightly so. This was Putin's attack against the Ukraine was illegal. It was a war of choice. Here in Gaza and in Iran, the same powers, including the United Kingdom, that has waged all-out war against Russia, indirect, by supporting the Ukraine, supporting the United States, and basically has not really taken any serious efforts to alleviate the catastrophic humanitarian situation in Gaza. Because Israel is using food, has weaponized food and medicine and fuel. Palestinian people are starving. Look, you and I were talking about the Iran war. We have forgotten that there's starvation in Gaza, children. So in a way, the bigger question, what the United Kingdom and the United States and France and Germany don't get it, is that the world is watching. That is, the world is seeing not only double standards, but they're seeing the lie that the so-called liberal West subscribe to. And that's why I think what I feel the most as a student of international relations, I think not only we're seeing a rupture of the rules-based international order, we're seeing the world has become more lawless than ever. It's raw power. The strong does what it does, and the weak basically has to bite the bullet. It's an epidemic of impunity. Worrying precedents are being created now, because tomorrow now it's our war, the West war. Tomorrow will be China's war in Taiwan. And those precedents will come to haunt the world, all of us. The idea, the notion of lawlessness. In fact, the United States used to be the architect of the international system. Now it's the United States, the chief violator of the same architecture that it's built in 1945. I was hoping that Britain would stand up, that Britain would defend the rules-based international order. Sadly and tragically, I don't see any daylight between the United States and the United Kingdom. And future generation, young generation will look back and say, this was wrong. This was illegal. We are paying for the mistakes and the blunders of our, leaders who basically ruled, governed our societies during this particular period.
Ed, weapons of mass destruction.
Are they back?
They are so back. This is like, it is back. Oasis are on tour.
Y2K?
Low-rise jeans are in, and there are weapons of mass destruction, and those are just in my pants. I don't know.
Do you think just the remake culture in Hollywood has just like they've run out of ideas? Again, they're going to make like the Ayatollah Saddam Hussein. They're going to do like Daily Express mock-up articles of the Ayatollah's mountain lair. Where can the Ayatollah be found? And it's within a series of events in some mountains in Iran.
Where's Wally?
Yeah.
But, yeah.
Where's Ayatollah?
But you see, okay, like if I was the Ayatollah, let's go down the road of like, say for example, that you were going to do some targeted bombing to get the Ayatollah, just hypothetically. I probably wouldn't hide like in like the nuclear bunker. Like where they were. If I was looking to do some fishing or something, I probably wouldn't hide there because I think that would be a target.
So, are you suggesting that
I'd check the Hilton?
where's the least likely place for a nuclear reactor to be, or a nuclear lab?
I don't know. They're all over Gaza apparently, aren't they?
Yeah. It is quite incredible, the line about Trump being like no US president would have the guts to do what I'm doing. It's like, oh yeah, those really peace-loving US presidents throughout our history. American foreign policy has just been UNICEF, essentially. It's been largely dictated by UNICEF.
American foreign policy has been largely dictated by UNICEF.
Yeah, peaceful. They've not killed any children. No one... There's been really like, the famous photo of the girl running in Vietnam and she looks happy because there's presents raining down on her, not napalm.
I can't believe this bit that you're doing. That is extraordinary.
Just all good stuff.
It's really hard to... Okay.
So should we deviate from detached irony?
What would your dad do right now?
My dad?
Yeah.
He would be... manufacturing evidence. He'd be presenting a what's the 2025 version of a dossier? Like a Slack channel would have been set up, a Signal chat with a TikTok he saw based on some like right wing influencer. Do you know the meme of like it's like a fake US senator who is desperate to bomb Iran once before he dies. Like, God, just let me bomb Iran. Mm-hmm. Someone like that has just been sending misinformation.
Your dad's been sending misinformation.
He's been receiving it, and now he's broadcasting it to the wider British media to try and manufacture consent for it.
Okay. So, do you think we could do like a day in the life?
Like a Telegraph column.
What's that like TikTok sound that they do for day in the life? It's like da, 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 da,
I think you could do any of them, to be fair.
da, 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 da.
Any TikTok sound.
What I eat in a day.
For
Iranians.
We didn't participate in the bombing.
No, do you know what? Okay, so what I found really amusing about this was like, not only, we didn't participate in the bombing, but that's only because we didn't know about it. Like,
fuck.
It's just like Starmer a couple of days ago being like, there are no plans to take out.
Trust me. I would know if there was plans.
Me and Donald on the blowout all the time.
Me, Captain Charisma of the World Order.
So Beth Rigby interviewed him again afterwards and was like, I love her so much. Prime Minister, I love her. She's like a hero in my household. Like my family really love her. Anyway, she interviewed him again afterwards and was like, you told me that there wasn't going to be any bombing, and there was bombing. And he looked really hurt. He looked like, he was like, yeah, well, Donald, yeah, he obviously just didn't have time to give me a quick buzz. Thought that he might,
warn me. I like the statement that Starmer, Macron and Merz put out together, as if Donald Trump cares what those three snivelling nerds say. Like, if he would listen to like Millet if Bolsonaro was still in power, like listen to Orban. If you are like, well, I guess just not democratic, and that's not really someone that we should be advocating a prime minister to be more like more like right wing strongman. But that is who he will listen to. If you're someone who's like trying to embody like international norms or whatever, and be like, this is actually how we do things. What you're doing is illegal under UN, whatever article, whatever. Donald Trump just has absolutely no interest in listening to you for that. And if that's like how you're trying to communicate with the president, you are onto such a losing battle.
But he's such a predictable man, you know? You always know where he's going to go next.
Yeah.
That man's not even playing chess. That man's just like throwing shit against a wall.
He's playing whack-a-mole.
No, what he's doing is basically his whole presidency is he's got like spaghetti in a pan. And you know when you keep throwing it against the wall to see if it sticks?
No.
And then you know it's done?
What?
You don't know about that?
No, I actually don't. What
Spaghetti
is
perfectly cooked when you throw it against the wall and it sticks.
But then you presumably can't eat that spaghetti. And
It's
your
only one
walls
piece
got
of
water on
spaghetti,
it.
isn't it? Just put one extra straw in there. You're ruining the analogy.
I'm more confused by this. Is this an Italian thing?
Huh?
What on earth is going on in Italy?
This is the thing.
Is that what they do?
Yeah.
Right.
Throw it against the wall and if it sticks, it's done.
Do you genuinely do that?
Yes. Every time. I'm not joking.
That's fascinating.
What do you do when you get, like, what do you mean? How do you know spaghetti's done?
Taste it?
You put it in your mouth.
Well, yeah, 'cause it's food.
Isn't that a waste of spaghetti as well?
Well, no, because you're getting more benefit from it. It's serving its original purpose of
But it's
nutrition.
sauceless at that point. Anyway, look. The point being.
So are you throwing sauce at the wall as well? You're putting like a full carbonara at the wall to make sure it's done.
There's no sauce with carbonara, Ed. What are you making? Alfredo?
Whatever.
Yeah.
Bolognese.
It's actually not an Italian dish, just to let you know.
You lot.
Be like a ragu. More likely.
This is now an anti-Italian podcast.
Okay. As I was saying, it's sort of giving Thatcher with the Falklands War.
Talk me through this.
Or the Vietnam War. Because it's like Trump's been in, he had a go with the trade war. That hasn't really panned out particularly well. Eggs are still reasonably expensive in the US, which I'm told was a pretty big issue during the election, apparently, the price of eggs. Don't want to be throwing them against the wall.
Unless you're making carbonara.
Yeah, so what now? A war. But what's really bizarre about that? It seems to fly in the face of anything that MAGA would want.
Yeah,
Because
yeah.
I'm sure he was elected on a ticket that was no more foreign wars. We're not going to waste all of your money. We've got Doge in now. We're going full FDR. We're going internal. This is where we're spending the cashish, your hard-earned taxpayer money. And then they go off and they do that. They bomb Iran. You know, I mean, you can look at that. There's headlines that go back to 1992 that are available widely online about how Iran's nuclear capability is imminent. That was 23 years ago now. Mm-hmm. I don't want to be rude to Iran. Maybe it's just not on the cards for them. If they were going to do it, maybe they would have got it together by now.
I wonder what they're making. They've probably made some like excellent like world-saving technology, like the complete inverse of a nuclear weapon, and they're like, fuck. They made like, what's they're looking for, like, is it nuclear fission? Is like, or fusion is like the
fission.
It's like the self-perpetuating energy, and so when they crack that, like, we will have no need for any other energy source ever again.
That's why they're bombing them then. It's like the guy who came up with like the car that runs on seawater.
Yeah. But like they've actually invented that like several times and had to scrap it.
Or the guy who used to work for Boeing and said like none of these planes will crash.
Yeah.
Take him out.
Interestingly, like, just Trump is like so desperate to win a Nobel Peace Prize and is also doing this.
But through bombing.
But as in, like,
why can't he go and do what what's the name? Amal Clooney gets up to?
What, be a human rights lawyer?
Oh, I'm embedding George Clooney. What did you mean?
Why can't Trump have sex with George Clooney?
Yeah, sorry, what were you talking about?
I think because they're both happily married men.
Okay.
I think they both value the institution of marriage.
Do you think when he gets into bed, he talks to Melania about, like, do you know what? I think that perhaps men shouldn't be in the Situation Room because, okay, have you ever seen Veep?
Yeah, right. Yeah.
Do you know when she gets the opportunity to be president and she goes to the Situation Room? for half a day and like completely loses herself.
It's so funny.
And she suddenly, and then she's just really overcome by the excitement of all of it. I imagine that's kind of what happens, like with Trump and Vance being in there, waiting for those planes. Also, question:
Answer.
18 hours for those planes to get over to Iran.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, surely like a commercial jet could get there in that time. You could not got anything a bit speedier.
I know. But are they trying to? What are they trying to do it covertly? Trying to do like if they're just hearing towards Iran, it's pretty obvious. They probably had to do some like deviations of like, oh, we're gonna go up, over Norway, down towards Sudan, back up to Iran. Like you had to really keep everyone on their toes there. But if it's just
we were actually looking for Iraq.
Fuck.
Yeah, I really like that we've just spent all of that money as well on the Chagos Islands, and they didn't want to use our little airbase. Kiers like, we bought this for you. Why don't you want it?
This is actually nothing to do with anything, but I've seen a good video. Today. Have you seen the Next Generation Tories video they put out today?
No. Oh. I think I did. Were they eating alfresco in Clapham?
Yes. Or Fulham?
I think it was Northcote Road, was it?
Oh, yeah, it was.
Why do I know that? Do you know what worries me? Is that that's not a piece of information I was cognizant of viewing or ingesting, yet you brought up the Next Generation Tories and I knew exactly what you meant.
Yes. Yeah. So the Next Generation Tories are like a campaign group within the Conservative Party that are just like trying to make sure it doesn't die, like by like trying to get young people to join it and try and get them to prioritise young people's interests. So they have this campaign called Labour Hates Fun, and they've worked with like the Wandsworth Conservatives. So for people who don't live in London, like Southwest London, Northcote Road is just like a restaurant in a street in Clapham with lots of restaurants and bars in it. And during COVID, they kind of pedestrianised it, and I guess like the Labour on Council got rid of that. It's full of the worst
people you'll ever meet. Honestly, like you do not want to go down there.
But what they've done is like they just put out a table and chairs and got someone to serve them dinner there.
Yeah.
As if that is like a priority of anyone bar anyone who eats and drinks on Northcote Road.
I really feel like Northcote Road is sort of like the Petri dish in which like the "Ra, where's my backy" meme was created.
Yes.
Do you know what I mean? It's really like all of the girls sort of talk like this and they say things like, oh my God, I can't believe that we can't sit outside on the road anymore.
Yes.
Can I have another Appy Spitz or whatever?
Actually awful. I don't like that character.
It's quite accurate though.
Yeah, no, it's good. I don't really know how you did that with your voice. That seems to be a priority for the next generation of Conservatives. And I was like, but it's also, they don't even explain anything about it. They just say Northcote Road. They don't even say they're in London. And I was like, it's not like the King's Road. It's not like a famous street necessarily.
But even the King's Road, I think to a non-Londoner, you'd think they were talking about like the Mall that led up to Buckingham Palace.
Oh, I don't know. Like I think it's quite a famous road, isn't it? In terms of like Vivienne Westwood, like 70s punk.
Yeah, but I just really like, if you were trying to do like a wide audience, you'd probably say
yes,
Chelsea.
Yes,
you?
You'd be like this road in Chelsea or something like that. Like,
yeah,
you wouldn't just assume that everyone lives in Southwest London.
Yeah. But the next gen, it's so on brand. I actually do think that they're quite interesting. I've actually wanted to have them on for a while to talk to them about where they think that the party could go. But it's really, I agree. But do you know what's weird about that? Sadik has just launched. And if it hasn't launched it yet, and I'm talking about something that they're thinking about, then I'll deal with that with the press office at a later date. But they're going to pedestrianise, or they are pedestrianising parts of Shoreditch, and there's a couple of other...
Oh, really?
Yeah, for the summer.
Wow.
You not knowing about that makes me think that I wasn't meant to talk about it yet.
No, that does sound like that, to be fair. we could edit this out.
Sources say.
Sources.
Anyway.
The Mayor of London, Sadik Khan, has said.
Just check that.
That's so funny.
Anyway, but yeah, so why not, the Labour mayor is already doing that. Why don't you just say, hey, could you also do the Northcote Road?
Yeah, I think...
Why does it have to be like Labour hates fun, like da-da-da. Like, well, okay, why don't you go and eat out in Shoreditch rather than...
Northcote Road. Yeah, I don't know.
I want them to pedestrianise Oxford Street. I just love it.
I think they're doing that.
Has it been signed off, or is it still in consultation?
I'm not sure, but I think they are. There's definitely some words around that.
I think it's brilliant. I know. People going like, "What about the thoroughfare?" yeah, the thoroughfare's really bad. Like London was not built, like that area of London was not built to take the traffic that it does. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like all of those roads all around it don't really take a lot of traffic. It's the main cross section between Regent Street and Oxford Street, which is also where everyone wants to go and shop and eat and drink. It makes everyone gets squished onto these tiny pavements, which means that you've got higher crime because pickpockets have got a field day. Also, you just get loads of it's the worst place on earth, isn't it, around there?
Yeah, it's tough. I once met an American friend for a drink, like I think it was on Oxford Street or something horrendous, and she was like, "Can we meet here?" And I was like, "Yeah, sure." And then she was like, "So what kind of part of London is this?" And I was like, "Times Square." And she was like, "Oh my God, I thought this was a cool part." She was like absolutely mortified. She was like, "If I asked you to come to like the most touristy part," I was like, "Yeah, but it's like absolutely fine."
Yeah. There are some nice pubs around there.
Yeah. Should we talk about the newest terrorist group in the UK?
Yeah.
Palestine Action.
Palestine Action. So this time next week, this podcast may
we might be up in court.
Yeah.
We might be getting more carrots.
Yeah. Oh well, that's good, isn't it?
That'd be interesting.
Was it Vittorio's joke about can someone throw a flag onto the stage? It seems to be doing quite well for ticket sales. He's on Wednesday.
Yes, Vittorio Angeloni, very very funny comedian, writes Finn versus the Internet and has a very funny podcast. He will be here.
Yeah.
Talking about PMQ.
If he hasn't been prescribed by then as well.
How about for being Irish?
Well, yeah.
He's Italian as well. I wonder if he knows about the spaghetti thing.
Well, we can ask him.
We can ask him. We can. We should. I
wonder if he knows about the spaghetti thing. I don't say that about your culture.
We don't throw out walls.
No, but you do put meat inside intestines and then
it's tasty. We didn't have as many options.
Spaghetti's quite tasty as well.
Yeah, but not after it's been in the wall.
You don't eat that bit, do you?
But I'm forgotten. You could tell me anything about Italian cuisine at this point. I'd be.
You don't. I bet you don't eat your pasta al dente. I bet you like it all soft and sloppy.
I like. I eat it just dry. I don't care enough about pasta. Sorry.
I don't say that about your culture.
Sorry, was that racist?
Well, I don't care about rolls and square sausages.
Yes, that is my culture. This time.
Also, funnily enough, Sean's culture as well. Rolls.
Yes. What does he call them?
I don't know. Chicken fillet. Barm cake.
Yeah, barm. A cob. What do you get in your chicken fillet cob?
I know what. That brings me back to Veep.
Mm-hmm.
They have like a whole episode where she's trying to figure out what ice cream she needs to get when she goes to do a photo shoot at an ice cream shop.
Was that it? Sorry.
Well, because the flavour is important, right? So like if she gets vanilla, it'll mean like she's vanilla.
The focus grouping it.
Yeah.
That is.
You don't want to get like a macadamia nut because like I don't know, groups that are worried about the rainforest. I don't know.
Yes, that is.
So then I was thinking, sorry, in my head, I'd gone from Leo Varadkar, what did he have on his chicken fillet roll, to Veep. Sorry. I should have just, Sean likes a chicken fillet roll. You eat square sausages. I throw pasta against the wall. Vittorio's being prescribed. Palestine Action. Okay, so was it Bryce Norton?
Yes.
Yeah, RAF Bryce Norton. So basically, the government have an army base in Bryce Norton and there's all these RAF planes. Yeah. And I guess no one bothered to lock the gate that night.
It's astonishing how easy it was. That is the main thing about this is it's in the government's interest to prescribe Palestine Action to make them seem like there's some sort of like sophisticated military operation rather than just, ooh, that fence is a bit. There's no barbed wire over that fence. We can definitely get in. Like if they prescribe it, it makes them seem as if they were the victims of some sort of like insane covert operations rather than just like two people on scooters managed to avoid all the security at the RAF and like they've just exposed.
Yeah, they didn't do like a fucking Hamas tunnel in there, did they?
No, they just walked in.
But they are Hamas, obviously. Palestine Action.
Yes. Do you know that thing like YouTubers do when they're like, how far can I get into the O2 without a ticket, whatever? They just put on like a high vis and walked in, or they bought costumes from a costume shop as soldiers, and we're just like, on the way in.
Yeah.
Time for inspection. What have you got there? It's we need to do some DIY actually in the shop. That's why I've got these big tins of paint.
Yeah.
And the scooters. We commute. We won't drive now. The RAF's going green.
The RAF's going green.
So we're trying to offset all the carbon from the fuel by electric scootering to work.
You've just reminded me. I'm so glad I have actually I bookmarked this for you to read out on the podcast.
For me too.
No, for me to read.
Sorry.
Fox News. Do you want to hear one of the best headlines I've read?
Yes, absolutely.
At least one of the B-2 bomber pilots who took part in the Iran mission was female. What?
Thank God. That is insane.
We've come so far.
That is absolutely incredible.
Do you think that's a bit of an insult as well?
To
Or
Iran.
in Iran, haven't they just made it like? Hasn't that regime just said that you have to wear a head covering at all times if you're a woman?
Yep.
Do you think out of respect that female pilot before she bombed the nuclear,
Got into
do you think she
airspace.
put a headscarf on?
No. She let her co-pilot take over the controls because she's not allowed to drive.
Amazing.
What a victory for feminism that is, by the way.
Yeah.
Well done, you lot.
I had a female pilot yesterday.
You had a female pilot. How did she park?
Huh?
How did she park?
What can I actually just say? We really came out of the sky thick and fast yesterday. I'm not even joking. 1 minute we were at what I assume is 30,000 feet, and then the next minute we were on the ground, and I felt very sick.
That's insane. like a dive bomb.
Yeah, maybe it was the co-pilot. Who knows?
I should hope so.
Yeah. Is anyone else watching Nathan Fielder?
Yes, I hope they had a blunt conversation about safety beforehand.
Yeah. Anyway, yeah, we nosedived out of there.
That's so funny.
Either she's doing like her RAF. She might have been. That's what it was. Okay, so whoever flew the EasyJet flight back from Dubrovnik on Sunday had just got off shift from bombing the nuclear deterrent in Iran. So that's probably why it took 18 hours, right? Because she was on the go slow. She forgot that was the commercial flight.
Yep.
And then on the actual commercial flight, she was like nosediving.
Trying to dropping luggage out.
Me landing yesterday at Bryce Norton. What the fuck?
Who's come out in support of Palestine Action but Sally Rooney?
Oh, do you know what? You should have gone slower. Who's come out in support? I don't know. We could have done a nice LGBT.
We could have speculated about people's
I
sexuality.
hope there was a pride flag on the side of that, on the bomber that did the Iran.
I hope it was a gay woman.
I don't know if we're ready for that.
A gay woman pilot?
Yeah.
No, I'm not sure either.
I don't really care what you do at home, but...
in the sky.
Yeah.
What was it about Trump abolished DEI and then all those plane crashes starts happening?
What? Yeah.
Should we talk about the
I
substance
get
of
really
Palestine
edgy
Action?
about that. It's a conspiracy that I'm fully paid up into.
What, that you can't have gay pilots?
I don't want to be... I'm so scared of Boeing.
Oh, yeah. I was flying back from Northern Ireland. It was the same day that plane in India crashed. And I was getting on the flight, looking at the Times app on my phone, just reading about the plane crash. I was like,
Yeah.
This is not... I don't need to be looking at this right this moment. And you know when, like, I suddenly think... I don't particularly like flying anyway, but I'm suddenly thinking, like, what if this is a malfunction? I was like, what type of plane is this? I was like trying to look at being like, I don't know planes, obviously. But I was trying to work out
I
if
don't
this
know
would...
planes, obviously.
Yes, I'm not.
Well, you're not a woman.
I'm not. I'm not a gay woman. I'm not a plane guy. Sally Rooney, big Palestine Action fan. And Laura's away to report on the Palestine Action protest
She is,
today.
yeah.
So that'll be coming thick and fast down your feeds.
Faster than that plane got back from Iran to Missouri or wherever it came. 18 hours. Can you believe that?
Yeah.
I mean, Air Pakistan has gone between, like, around the world quicker than that.
Palestine Action.
Oh, Air India was the one that crashed,
It
wasn't
did.
it? Well, look, sorry for the confusion between the two, but I suppose that is the row, isn't it, really?
Yes, the Kashmir or the airline.
Yeah.
Palestine Action are not a militant armed group. they do not resemble terrorist organizations that have been prescribed.
Okay.
But it's like it's direct action, and obviously the action they did is illegal. They know that.
Well, they do wear keffirs. I have actually been around someone who once cried about the Palestine protests and said it was the keffirs, and they were crying about it.
What, that they had kefirs?
Yeah, they were like, do you know how this makes me feel? I was like, no!
That's quite incredible.
I think that we've really gone down the rabbit hole.
Who?
As a country.
You are lurching from idea to idea today. You're just not, your brain is moving faster than like you're explaining things.
Sorry.
You're just jumping from topic to topic. And you keep talking about the 18-hour flight.
I'm just throwing spaghetti at the wall.
But if non-violent protest can be designated as terrorism, then there's lots of other direct action groups that could be prescribed as terrorists, like hunt saboteurs, for instance.
It's really funny. Imagine if they're next to... Okay, if they're next to hunt saboteurs. Hang on, let me just get up a list of prescribed organisations in the UK, and let's just decide if Palestine Action fit.
I thought you were wanting us to decide on the merits of each of them being prescribed.
Let's fix the list.
Oh.
Okay, here we go. gov.uk. Right, I'll take your cookies, old bean. Okay, Palestine Action. Famous for painting a couple of those planes the other day. Mm-hmm. Well, I don't know. Allegedly, did that get confirmed? Did they take ownership of it?
Well, they published it.
Well, still, might not be them.
It's a fair cop, gov.
Anyway, and who sit outside the weapon sites down in Kent, who do look peaceful sit-ins. I actually went to cover one of their protests down outside the one Sandwich in Kent. Mm-hmm. Elbit Systems, and we had dal for lunch in little Tupperwares. It was delicious.
They also break into places and
Look,
destroy
I don't know anything about that. Anyway, so Palestine Action are going to be on this list. Al Qaeda, ISIL, Baka Haram, Hezbollah. So it's going to be like...
It's such an overreaction.
Al Qaeda, Baka Haram, Palestine Action.
This is who, like, you're going to have like the top 5 most wanted people in the world. So you've got Osama bin Laden, Quentin from Surrey.
This is so crazy.
Oh,
We've lost our minds.
It's such an overreaction.
We've lost our minds.
But also as well, like, it just says so much about, like the Met came out and were like, we think it's ridiculous this protest is happening. Why does the Met get to decide what protests are or are not ridiculous?
Yeah, they don't get to decide the ridiculous, but they have to just facilitate the protest.
No, Mark Rowley said that.
Right.
That the protest, he was like, this protest should not be happening.
No, I'm agreeing with you.
Okay.
And I'm saying they obviously get to decide if a protest goes ahead, right?
But not about the morale, not about the cause.
No, exactly.
Yeah.
They don't do it on like...
Whether or not you think is a good...
Sorry, Palestine Action. We've actually got Baka Haram in Trafalgar Square today. So we're not going to be able to facilitate this.
We've actually... Sorry, Greta, you can't speak today. We've got Shamima Begum up next.
We've got Shamima on video link at 2.
They just overcorrect massively. They de-prescribe all these organisations.
And just put Palestine Action.
Do you think there's like a civil servant?
Palestine Action, and then it's Vittorio Angeloni. And then it's whatever Leo Varadkar has on his chicken fillet roll.
Do you think there's like a civil servant whose like job is like working for Prevent and like has KPIs to hit of like de-radicalizing people, and they're just going to one day de-prescribe all these groups and be like, job well done.
Okay, what should we prescribe?
We should prescribe. There's a few groups I don't think we should say publicly that we think should be prescribed. I don't think it'd be good for us.
I would like to prescribe to paedophiles. Someone had to say it.
Someone had to say it. I think it should be illegal to be a paedophile. Landlords.
Okay, yeah. So
This is the
PoliticsJOE prescribed list. Landlords. Anyone describes himself as a wealth creator. Pedophiles.
Stephen Bartlett.
Who's the other
What an
guy?
extraordinary list.
Who's the other guy who does? What's the other kind of Stephen Bartlett-esque show? Is it how to? What is that thing? We had the book on Tom's desk for ages.
Oh, Jake Humphries. This is the real enemy.
People who sprint in front of you off the train and then stand on the escalator.
Yep, they should go. Absolutely. People. This is my kind of real boomer opinion. You know, when you're in the gym and you ask someone if can I take that handle to attach to like the cable machine?
No, but sure.
But they don't say yes or no. They just go like they don't talk to you
Because they're part of Baka Haram and they're actually using it to like tie someone up. Is that what it is?
Yeah.
Okay.
Or like, you know, when like you're using a self-checkout and it freezes, or like you need someone to come and improve it or something like that, and the person doesn't say anything, they just come and like silently interact with you. I really think everyone should speak to everyone. It kind of drives me a bit nuts that people just don't talk. I think it's rude.
Oh yeah, okay.
But so people who don't talk should be prescribed.
That's good for you, Ed. You know, that was really bold and brave of you. Stunning and brave.
Thank you. So I'm against...
To attack the minimum wage worker.
They should talk to me. I pay your wages.
Open your mouth.
Let me hear your voice. So
Where were you over the weekend?
So we're against paedophiles, minimum wage workers,
and Stephen Bartlett
and Baka Haram. There was a
Baka Haram. Congratulations to Baka Haram, who have been deprescribed after they came out against Palestine Action.
There was a really, really good bit.
All of Baka Haram at the kneecap concert.
It was a social. It was a Baka Haram social. A glass of an Al Qaeda day out.
So stupid.
There was a really, really good bit. Do you know Leo Reich, the comedian?
Who?
Leo Reich, he's called.
Possibly, but yeah.
He's really, really funny. He did a bit on Instagram, and it was like someone tweeted saying, "Boycott Israel." Well, I'm boycotting Al Qaeda, Boko Haram, and like listed all these organizations. And Leo was like, "What are you buying from Boko Haram?"
It's those Wayfair wardrobes.
Yeah.
Do you think we're going to be prescribed for
I think so. I would prescribe us. I would unsubscribe for this. Should we leave it there?
Do you know what's so funny is that I'm going to send this over to that really esteemed professor. Here's
Oh
the
my
link
God.
to the podcast.
Oh, maybe don't listen to any of it.
Why are you talking about deprescribing Boko Haram?
Should we do a deep dive on Boko Haram at some point?
I'm going to prescribe your dad. That's what I'm going to do. Tony Blair
Tony Blair's gone.
should be on the list.
I prescribe New Labour,
Yeah.
actually. Should we leave it? Is this it? That was certainly something.
I'm prescribing socialism.
Absolutely. Prescribing centrism. I'm prescribing the New European newspaper.
Yeah.
I'm prescribing witty banter. Thank you so much, everyone.
I'm
for...
prescribing Steve Bray. That would be really popular.
Yeah, it would actually. Well, it'd be popular amongst people a very small group of people who have to interact with them.
I actually really like him.
That's the line. Thanks, everyone, for listening. And, of course, we have launched our Patreon. If you head over and use the code POD, you'll get 90% off your first month. There's going to be exclusive video content. There's going to be Q&As, early access to live events, all of the good stuff. There's a lot of good... There's a group chat going already. It is popping off in there. Has been all weekend. We're really enjoying it. It's been a lot of fun so far. I'm really excited to see where it all goes. We will be seeing you tomorrow. Thank you, Eva.
Bye.
Bye.
Hi. In this volatile environment, we're at risk of being prescribed. If you don't want to lose access to us like Boko Haram or Al Qaeda, then subscribe to our Patreon and use the code POD to get 90% off the fee. I don't know.
Your first month. Do that bit again.
Should we just leave it as that?
Yeah, sure. Grand.
Thanks.